Welcome back to the Daily Economy 24/7. Today, we step into the final chapter of our Holiday Economy series. This is part 4, and it's called The Winter Reckoning. If you're new to the channel, welcome to a community that values clarity, honesty, and meaningful storytelling about the world we're living in. And if you've been with us through parts 1, 2, and 3, thank you for taking this journey with me. Your support, your comments, your insights, they're the heartbeat of this show. In the first 3 parts, we explored the emotional weight of the holidays, the long-term consequences of overspending, and the sacrifices families make to hold the season together. But today, we look at what happens after the holidays, the financial hangover, the emotional crash, the budgeting crisis, the credit card shock, and the slow rebuild that stretches into the first quarter of the year. This episode is about the truth that comes after the lights come down, the quiet, heavy, honest truth of January. So settle in, take a breath, and let's step into the winter reckoning together. January is the most financially stressful month in the United States. In 2026, 61% of Americans said January was their hardest financial month of the year. 48% said they regretted their holiday spending. 37% said they felt anxious before opening their first January statement. And 29% said they avoided checking their bank account during the first week of the new year. The numbers back them up. In January 2026, credit card balances surged to $1.37 trillion, the highest in U.S. history. The average household carried $8,112 in revolving credit. Interest charges hit $14.2 billion in a single month. Buy now pay later late fees rose 22% compared to December. Overdraft fees spiked 18% year over year. January isn't just a month. It's a mirror. And for millions of families, that mirror is hard to look into. There's a psychological shift that happens every year, a shift economists call the holiday comedown. In December, dopamine spikes. In January, it crashes. In 2025, 52% of Americans reported feeling post-holiday sadness. Among parents, that number rose to 63%. Among men, 41% said they felt emotionally drained by the end of the season. But the emotional comedown is tied directly to the financial one. In a national survey, 44% said they felt guilty about their holiday spending. 31% said they felt ashamed of their January balances. 27% said they hid their holiday debt from their partner. 19% said they avoided social events in January because of money. The holidays give joy. January collects the bill. January is also the month when budgets break. In 2026, 58% of Americans said they started the year already behind. 36% said they had less than $300 in checking after the holidays. 28% said they postponed essential purchases until February. 17% said they skipped at least one bill in January. 11% said they borrowed money from family to get through the month. And one statistic reveals the emotional truth more clearly than any other. 1 in 3 Americans said they felt like they failed financially in January. Not because they were irresponsible, but because the holidays demand more than the budget can bear. Men feel this pressure intensely. In a 2025 survey, 46% of men said January made them feel like they weren't providing enough. 32% said they felt embarrassed by their January finances. 27% said they avoided conversations about money altogether. January isn't just a financial month, it's an emotional one. By late January, another force enters the picture: tax season. For many families, tax refunds are the only way to recover from holiday spending. In 2025, the average tax refund was $2,842. 64% of Americans said they relied on their refund to catch up financially. 41% said their refund went directly to paying off holiday debt. 22% said they used their refund to cover bills they postponed in December. 11% said they used their refund to pay down BNPL balances. Tax season isn't a bonus. It's a bailout. And for millions of families, it's the only way to reset the year. But the emotional aftermath of the holidays lingers long after the decorations come down. In 2026, 39% of Americans said they felt burned out by mid-January. 33% said they felt financially insecure for the first quarter of the year. 26% said they felt resentful of how expensive the holidays have become. 21% said they questioned whether the holidays were worth the stress. And yet, despite all of this, 72% still said they would spend the same, or more, next year. Because the holidays aren't logical. They're emotional, they're relational, they're cultural, they're spiritual. People don't give because they can afford to. They give because they want to. And that desire doesn't disappear in January. It just becomes harder to carry. As Section 1 closes, the picture becomes clear. The holiday season doesn't end in December. It echoes into January, February, and March, reshaping budgets, emotions, and financial futures. The winter reckoning is real, and it affects millions. In Section 2, we go deeper into that reckoning, the rise of financial anxiety, the industries that thrive in January, the emotional toll of debt, the psychology of regret, and the question at the center of it all. How do families rebuild after the most expensive season of the year? January doesn't just expose the financial cost of the holidays. It exposes the emotional cost. The pressure, the regret, the anxiety, the quiet conversations couples avoid, the silent calculations men make in their heads, the way the joy of December becomes the weight of January. And in Section 2, that weight becomes unmistakably clear. The first force shaping the winter reckoning is financial anxiety, a kind of emotional fog that settles over millions of households as the new year begins. In 2026, 53% of Americans said they felt financially anxious in January. Among parents, that number rose to 61%. Among men, 47% said they felt pressure to fix the financial damage of the holidays before February. And among households earning under $60,000 a year, nearly two-thirds said they felt overwhelmed by January expenses. Financial anxiety isn't just a feeling. It's a physiological response. Heart rate increases, sleep decreases, stress hormones spike, and the numbers reflect that reality. In January 2026, Google searches for how to pay off credit cards rose 42%. Searches for budget help rose 36%. Searches for side jobs near me rose 29%. The holiday season doesn't just drain bank accounts, it drains emotional reserves. But while families struggle, certain industries thrive. January is one of the most profitable months for credit card companies. With balances at $1.37 trillion and average APRs at 22.8%, interest charges alone generated $14.2 billion in January 2026. BNPL companies saw a 22% spike in late fees. Payday lenders saw a 17% increase in loan volume. Debt consolidation companies saw a 26% surge in inquiries. Even tax prep companies saw early season demand rise by 19% as families rushed to access refunds. The winter reckoning isn't just emotional, it's economic, and entire industries depend on it. But the emotional toll of debt is deeper than the numbers. In a 2026 survey, 41% of Americans said holiday debt made them feel behind in life. 34% said it made them feel less confident. 29% said it made them feel ashamed. And 23% said it caused tension in their relationships. Men feel this more intensely than anyone. 46% of men said holiday debt made them feel like they failed financially. 37% said they avoided talking about money in January. 28% said they felt embarrassed when their partner saw the statements. Debt isn't just a financial burden, it's an emotional one. And that emotional burden fuels the psychology of regret, a cycle that begins in January and can last for months. In 2026, 48% of Americans said they regretted how much they spent during the holidays. 31% said they regretted specific purchases. 24% said they regretted using credit cards. And 19% said they regretted traveling. But regret doesn't change behavior. It rarely does, because the holidays aren't driven by logic. They're driven by emotion. And that emotion is powerful enough to override financial caution. In a national study, 72% of Americans said they would spend the same, or more, next year, even if they struggled in January. 64% said the holidays were worth the financial stress. 59% said the season made them feel closer to their families. And nearly half said the holidays reminded them of what really matters. The winter reckoning reveals a paradox. People suffer financially in January. But they don't want to change December. Because the holidays aren't about money. They're about meaning. And that meaning is powerful enough to justify the sacrifice, even when the sacrifice hurts. As Section 2 closes, the emotional landscape becomes clear. January is a month of anxiety, regret, and rebuilding. But it's also a month of reflection, a moment when families look at the cost of the holidays and ask themselves whether the joy was worth the price. In Section 3, we bring Part 4 home. We explore how families rebuild after the holidays, how they recover financially, how they reset emotionally, how they prepare for the next year. And the deeper question at the heart of the winter reckoning: what does it take to heal from the season we love the most? January always brings a reckoning, but after a slow holiday season, that reckoning feels different. It's heavier, sharper, and more revealing. Because when holiday spending slows, even slightly, the ripple effects stretch far beyond December. They reach into January, February, and March. They touch retailers, families, banks, small businesses, and the broader economy. And they expose the fragile balance between emotional tradition and financial reality. For decades, the holiday season has been the engine that pulls the American economy through the winter. But in 2025, that engine sputtered. Holiday spending grew only 3.1%, down from 5.8% the year before. E-commerce slowed to 5.4% growth, its weakest holiday performance since 2014. Brick-and-mortar traffic fell 7% year-over-year. Discretionary categories, electronics, apparel, home goods, saw declines between 2 and 6%. A slow holiday season doesn't just mean fewer gifts. It means weaker Q4 earnings, smaller bonuses, reduced hours for workers, and tighter budgets in January. And it means the winter reckoning hits harder. A slow holiday season creates a double hangover. Families feel the pain of overspending, and the economy feels the pain of underspending. In January 2026, credit card balances still surged to $1.37 trillion because families spent more than they could afford, even in a slow season. But retailers reported the weakest January in 7 years as consumers pulled back sharply after December. BNPL delinquencies rose 19% as shoppers struggled to make installment payments. Small businesses saw a 4.2% decline in January revenue, the steepest drop since 2020. Consumer confidence fell to 82.4, its lowest January reading since 2013. Families were hurting, retailers were hurting, and the economy was signaling something deeper. Americans were emotionally committed to the holidays, but financially exhausted by them. A slow holiday season doesn't feel slow to families. It feels heavy, because when people spend less, it's not because they feel secure. It's because they feel strained. In 2026, 57% of Americans said they held back on holiday spending due to financial stress. 44% said they felt guilty for not giving more. 39% said they felt embarrassed by smaller Christmases. 31% said they felt less festive because of money. 22% said they avoided gatherings to hide financial strain. A slow holiday season doesn't reduce emotional pressure. It increases it, because people still want to give. They still want to create memories. They still want to make the season magical. They just can't afford to. And that gap, between desire and ability, is where emotional pain grows. Retailers feel the aftershocks just as deeply. December is their lifeline. When December disappoints, January becomes a battlefield. In early 2026, Macy's announced 14 store closures. Best Buy cut 1,200 seasonal workers earlier than planned. Kohl's reported a 6.1% drop in holiday revenue. Target issued a profit warning for Q1. Amazon slowed hiring for the first time in a holiday cycle since 2008. Small retailers saw a 9% increase in January closures. A slow holiday season doesn't just hurt families. It reshapes the retail landscape. And the aftershocks continue for months. But behind every statistic is a person, a father, a mother, a provider, trying to make sense of the season. Men like Daniel feel it deeply. He told me, "I spent less this year, but it didn't feel better. It felt worse. Like I was letting my family down." Men like Marcus feel it too. He said, "I tried to be responsible, but January still hit me like a truck." And men like Anthony, the father from part 1, said, "It's not the gifts. It's the pressure. It's the feeling that no matter what you do, it's not enough." A slow holiday season doesn't ease the emotional burden. It magnifies it, because the holidays aren't about money. They're about meaning. And when meaning feels threatened, people feel it in their bones. So what does all of this mean for 2026? The data tells a complicated story, but a hopeful one. Consumer spending is expected to stabilize, with economists projecting 3.4% growth, modest but steady. Credit card balances will remain high, but delinquency rates are expected to level off by mid-year. BNPL usage will continue to grow, rising an estimated 18% as families rely more heavily on installment-based financing. Retailers will adapt with fewer stores, earlier promotions, and a shift toward value-driven holidays. And after a slow 2025, holiday spending in 2026 is expected to rebound to 4.2% growth, not explosive, but healthy. Emotional spending will remain strong, because no matter the economy, the holidays remain emotionally indispensable. 2026 will be a year of rebuilding, financially, emotionally, and culturally. Not a boom, not a bust, a reset. As Part 4 closes, the truth becomes clear: the holiday season doesn't end in December. It echoes into January, February, and March. It shapes budgets, emotions, and futures. It reveals the tension between tradition and reality. It exposes the cost of joy, and the meaning behind it. A slow holiday season doesn't weaken the holidays. It reveals how deeply we depend on them. Because at the end of the day, the holidays aren't about spending. They're about connection. They're about memory. They're about love. They're about the people we gather with, and the people we miss. And that's why, even after the hardest seasons, even after the slowest years, even after the heaviest Januaries, America always finds its way back to December. And that brings us to the end of this journey, a journey through joy, pressure, tradition, sacrifice, and the quiet truth behind America's most emotional season. Over these 4 parts, we've walked through the trillion-dollar engine that powers the holidays. We've seen the emotional inflation that raises expectations faster than incomes. We've watched families stretch themselves to create moments that matter. We've felt the weight men carry, silently, faithfully, to make the season feel magical. We've witnessed the January reckoning, the winter hangover, the slow rebuild, and we've seen how even a slow holiday season can ripple through the entire economy. But beneath every statistic, beneath every chart, beneath every dollar spent or borrowed or sacrificed, there has always been something deeper. The holidays are not about perfection. They're not about matching last year. They're not about the size of the tree or the number of gifts or the price of the plane ticket. They're about meaning. They're about memory. They're about the people we gather with, and the people we miss. They're about the moments that stay with us long after the receipts fade. And that's why, even in the hardest years, even when budgets tighten, even when the economy slows, even when January hits like a cold wind, America always finds its way back to December. Because the holidays remind us of who we are. They remind us of what matters. They remind us that generosity is not measured in dollars, it's measured in intention. It's measured in sacrifice. It's measured in love. And yes, the cost is real. The debt is real. The pressure is real. The winter reckoning is real. But so is the joy. So is the connection. So is the meaning. As we look toward 2026, the numbers tell us the year ahead will be one of rebuilding, financially, emotionally, culturally. Not a boom, not a bust, a reset, a chance to breathe, a chance to recalibrate, a chance to step into the next season with a little more clarity, a little more wisdom, and a little more grace for ourselves. Because the truth is simple, we don't give because we can afford to. We give because we want to. We give because we care. We give because the holidays are a reflection of our hearts, not our wallets. So as this series closes, I want to leave you with this. Be gentle with yourself. Be proud of what you gave. Be honest about what it cost. And remember that the value of the holidays isn't found in the spending. It's found in the love behind it. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for listening, reflecting, and being part of this community. And thank you for caring enough to understand the story behind the season. This is the Daily Economy 24/7, and wherever the next chapter takes us, I'm grateful to walk it with you.